What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Before I get into the video, hold on, let me fix that a little bit. Before I get into the video, I want to thank everybody for getting the channel past 55,000 subs. Thank you guys. We're on our way. Today's topic, today's video, we're gonna get away from. I've been doing a lot of different things on the channel, but I want to get back to something prison related because I know the majority, that's what you love. And this is a topic I wanted to address. Why do Southern Raza war with blacks in the CDC, the California Department of Corrections? Wow, what a question, right? And so many people out there that have never been to prison, they believe they have the answer. I did over 2 decades in the California Department of Corrections. I did over 3 years in the California Youth Authority, and I can tell you that I don't have the perfect answer. I have opinions. I have opinions based on life experiences, but I also believe that I can clarify a lot of stuff. And I think it's necessary that it be clarified, okay? So I want to start with this, and I don't have it here at the house. I might have it in storage. I want to try to locate it. I had this document for years and years, man. I want to say I had that document in prison for at least 15 years, man, if not more, right? So I've had this document around for a long time. And it was basically, had something to do with the history of the California Department of Corrections. And it was a specific incident or occurrence that happened in Old Folsom. And I don't remember what year it was. There may be some old timers that see this that are aware of it. I don't remember when, but I want to start the video with this, okay? So there was a time when the tiers in Old Folsom were segregated by race, right? And by segregating them by race, it's going to alleviate a lot of problems. And so for some reason, why would that be? For some reason, the CDC decided to take 5 black cells off of an all black tier and move them onto a tier that was all Mexicans. Pull 5 Mexican cells, clear them out, and put those 5 or 10, however many it was, but fill those, basically telling the blacks, we're going to take 5 of your cells and give them to Mexicans, and telling the Mexicans, we're taking 5 of your cells and give them to the blacks. Guess what happened? Exactly what the CDC wanted. Then I want to go to, it was around 2000, maybe 99. And it was when the Raza from Northern California had initiated their demands in New Folsom C facility. They issued their demands saying they wanted a yard that was designated for just Northerners, others, and blacks. No Southerners, no whites, as that would be a way for them to program without any rivals, give people an opportunity to program, go home, whatever, right? Whatever they said, I don't know the whole argument, but that's what they were demanding. And that was a case that it was something that was, they gave their commandments. It was 14 commandments. They served the administration in New Folsom. They 602, meaning they filed an inmate grievance / appeal, right? Appealing the issue or grieving the issue. It was denied all the way through. And then they filed a lawsuit. They filed a claim in the courts, right? And there was one, I've talked about this several times. The spokesman for the California Department of Corrections was having a press conference. And it had to do with the Raza from Northern California, their demands. And I remember very clearly, I think I was still in the shoe when it happened. I may have just gotten, there's no way I was still in the shoe. And I remember the spokesman for the CDC was asked by a reporter, if they're requesting to be housed without rivals and enemy groups, wouldn't that be better for the CDC? Something along those lines. I can't remember exactly word for word, right? And the spokesman for the CDC said, no, that wouldn't be. He said, because if we removed all of their enemy factions, there's only one enemy left. And he goes, that's the staff. That's correctional officers and the administration. And he said, we won't put ourselves in that position. So they won't put themselves in a position for harm, but they will definitely put Southerners and whites in that position. And when the roles are reversed, when it's a predominantly Southern white yard, they will put Northerners over there. They will put Raza from Fresno, the Bulldogs, over there. See, what I'm getting at is I want people to understand there have been riots. There have been more riots between Southerners and blacks than probably, I see that's a hard thing to say. There's been a lot of incidents between Southerners and whites, Southerners and, other factions. But the most notorious skirmishes in the California Department of Corrections are 9 times out of 10 going to be the Southern Raza against the entire black population. We've heard of these. We see the video in Pelican Bay, right? The famous February 23rd of 2000 riot, right? Because Pelican Bay is on video. But I want to ask you guys, how many other riots you guys heard of? How many? See, they want people to think there's always tension and there's always beef between these two groups. And that's not the case. Are those two groups always wary of each other? As a group, yes. Individually, no. And what I mean by that is the blacks are going to be, and let me break that down. Particular groups of blacks are going to be wary of other groups of blacks. The Raza are going to be wary. It's not fearful. It's keep an eye on everybody at all times. As far as the Southerners, they view everyone as a potential adversary at all times. They're bred that way, so that they're always prepared, right? So I would assume that every other faction does the same thing. But I can say that I believe a lot of the violence is perpetuated by the administration, by the California Department of Corrections. I believe when family visits were taken, the CDC knew what the reaction would be. I was there when they took them, and I can tell you right now, I believe probably a year or two before, because Calipatria had just opened not too long before. I think they opened in 92. They took the family visits, 95, 96, around the time of the waits. But that time right there was probably the most active in the CDC, like for a while. But it was around the time they took the family visits, where you had people that may have been more willing to try to work things out on a business level in order to keep the family visits going for whatever reason, just to be able to make love to their wives or to see their kids, see their mom, in a private setting, or because of other things that would run through family visit. The family visiting was something that was people wanted to make sure that they could maintain. And the CDC took that, and they got the reaction that they wanted. All of a sudden, there wasn't that hesitancy, not even for a second. You had a bunch of new prisons popping up at the same time. And the CDC knows when they open new prisons, exactly what's going to happen. People have to fight for their position on the yard, right? But I just wanted to make sure I make this video and just say, People want to say that all the raza from Southern California are these racist people and this and that, but anybody that has done time knows. I believe every single black who has done time in the California Department of Corrections, they know, whether it was the county jail or in CDC, they had essays that were cool with them. I always say, there was an era, there was a time, there was a short time span in Southern California where there was racially motivated violence on both sides. It wasn't one-sided whatsoever. But for the most part, I just didn't. In the California Youth Authority, I ran into homies that were extremely racist. Absolutely. Especially in Paso Robles. I've talked about it. My friend Damian Porter, he has talked about it. He has the Damian Porter channel. We were in the California Youth Authority together. We were on the most racist unit in Paso. We were on Nepomo. But I honestly didn't see that type of racism in the California Department of Corrections. I think the California Department of Corrections is such a different animal than anything, because you have people who are so criminally savvy, so criminally sophisticated, that they understand racism is bad for business. War is bad for business. Murder is bad for business. Does war still happen? Absolutely. But it's not the first option. But racism, that is a petty thought for petty minds. And those people that still try to place that label, blanket that over everybody, I mean, look, within the California Department of Corrections, there's a minimum. I would have to check again. I checked a few years back. A minimum of 30,000 Raza from Southern California that are housed within the California Department of Corrections. It's probably a bigger number now. To say that every one of them is racist, imagine how much violence would happen in the California Department of Corrections if that was the case. It would be possible, if they were really truly racist, to initiate violence on a level to where they would segregate the prisons. They would be forced to, but that's never happened. We can go back to where they had the tiers segregated. They had the tiers segregated, but not the yards. You know, because of the Constitution, you can't have segregation. I get it, and you know, I don't know. I don't want to get too lost in it. I just wanted to put this video on, give my 2 cents. Like I said, once I entered the CDC and I really got laced up on stuff, I never saw people. I never had hatred for anybody based on a skin tone, a skin color, race, ethnicity, whatever. If we went to war, we went to war, and it was business. It was never personal. And it seemed like some people don't understand that. Like, I righteously had dudes. I've talked about it before. There was a dude that worked with me, Killer, from Compton. He was a blood. He was from one of those organizations, and we chopped it up every day at work. And he told me straight out, man, I think we got a crew that could hang with you guys, man. And you know, if nothing personal, if we do. And I laughed and I said, wow, you know, hopefully it doesn't happen. But if it does, you know, yeah, it's business, you know. And so if there was really racism as bad as people say, those conversations will never happen. Anyways, that's my video. I don't mean to ramble on. I just wanted to address that today. That was on my mind, on my heart. And I wanted to, you know, put my 2 cents out there and hopefully get some people to think. With that said, everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.